Morning, everybody, and welcome to hashtag Grow Your Life live sessions. I want to share with you today about making decisions in both your life and business. And that's what this is, these live videos. Every single morning I go live on Instagram and Facebook with a video for you on ways to grow in your life and in your business. In our lives, we have to make decisions. But what happens is we have experiences, and these experiences make us feel certain things. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am not telling you to suppress your emotions at all. I'm talking specifically when it comes to making decisions that have to do with going down one path or another, heading towards your goals. Outside of that, that's not part of this conversation. So in the process of making decisions heading towards your goals, separating our emotions and how we're feeling from that decision-making process will help you make decisions objectively instead of subjective to how you feel. For example, let's say that you did an investment or you're running an advertising campaign and you spent a certain amount the first 2 days, there's 5 days left for it to materialize, and you're not seeing the returns after 2 days. What do? Do you turn it all off? Do you shut it all down? Do you get emotional? Or do you just say, we're going to wait till day 5 and decide and see how it is? That's an example where I've seen a lot of people tangibly not be able to separate their emotions from the decision-making process as they're going based on a timeline where something has to take about 5 days to materialize. Or let's say you're building a business, it's going to take about 2 years to materialize to where your goal is, and yet you stop on the 5th month or the 6th month because it's not panning out where you thought you'd be in 2 years, okay? So in that, just case in point, let's say you're running an advertising campaign. It's not panning out on day 1, 2, or 3, but you know you're not going to be able to make a decision until day 5 happens. And so in that, making your decisions objectively based on facts and truth will help you be more profitable. You know, as human beings, we are emotional creatures, and that's why I preface this with, I am not telling you to suppress all emotions. In fact, I want you to learn how to make emotions your slave and make your emotions come under subject to you rather than you being controlled by them. When we can separate our feelings and our emotions from events that happen, we can then look at them objectively. Okay? And so in this, so often throughout life, and I want to tell you this right here, I'm the most guilty of this and have been the most guilty of this, but I've also made it a practice in my life to take a step back, to pause for 5-10 minutes and look at, am I looking at this subjective to how I feel or objective of the truth of what's going on? And when we do this, we can make decisions that will impact our lives for years to come, greater results, go further, and flow, like I taught yesterday, free from stress by deciding not based on emotion or feeling or what could happen, but truth and facts. Now, in that, you might say, for example, this is where I've actually seen a lot of people get caught up with advertising. Again, they will actually look at with truth objectively. It's not panning out on day 1, 2, and 3. So their truth is telling them to shut it all down because they're going to cut their losses. I've also seen that completely hurt people. You need to make a goal, make a decision, make time blocks, and then decide on them. If you quit before you reach the end of that finish line, you can't make a subjective decision based on truth. I run into this all the time when I'm working on either promoting conferences, products, or programs for people, is we'll start a ramp up of sales, they'll get some sales, and then it'll dip off even though it's 3 months out, and so then the person in charge tells us to pull back the advertising. For me, I would keep it where it's at and let it ride out. That's a subjective decision based on emotion of not wanting to lose money versus objective of this is our budget, we're going to stick to it. And that's where setting good budgets for your life, for advertising, is important. Maybe back your budget down to 66 to 50% of your initial part. That way, then you don't blow it all in the first half. That right there is another way to do that subjectively. And I've seen that work for people. I've also seen it pan out the opposite, to where they ran half the budget size and the result was 1/3 of the last 2 times. Because that was, again, a decision based on emotions, subjective, not objective of truth, that if we spend this much, this is the result, and it's happened here and here. So often in business, we make decisions based on how it feels, what they said, what's going on, what a guru said, what somebody like me said even. And I want you to even be objective, not subjective to your emotions, while you listen to what I say and make decisions in your life and in your business based on truth, not based on how you feel. So there's always those 2 flip sides of that decision making. And that's why I said specifically with goals, and I think I'm even honing in on just business, okay? I'm going to have to give that this title. This is separating your emotions from business decision making. If you need to fire somebody because they're costing you a lot, you should have fired them earlier rather than subject to the emotions of how you're worried about how they feel. Okay? I'm not talking about separating empathy either. Me personally, I believe that I'm probably one of the most empathetic people around. I've had a lot of people tell me that as well, and I can notice that. I can talk to people, really feel what they're feeling, and then I can actually then separate the emotion of that and make objective decisions. That's what makes me a good coach with people, is I can be empathetic of the emotion, look at the truth, and then we can start to make an objective decision. In our lives, in business, but in our lives as well, I've seen this happen to where we become objective about our time management, or subjective about our time management based on how we feel, and it causes us to bring comparison into the scenario. When we bring comparison in, it makes it to where we're now making our decisions based on how we feel again. So this is really a key to success in life and in business, is for you to embrace, be self-aware, by the way, okay? I said separate, not get rid of your emotions. This is key here. That's why I really, I'm trying to hone in that I'm not saying to get rid of all emotions. Separate. Not get rid of one or the other, separate. And look at them in 2 silos, 2 boxes. This is how I feel. Here's the truth. Now let's make a decision based on facts. In that though, feeling, understanding, that's one of the best ways to sell, is knowing how somebody feels, and you can learn how to sell to them, as well as how to create products that people need. Making decisions, in relationships, we have to be able to be empathetic of the other person, all of that type of a thing. In our lives though, in our personal lives, we have to make our personal decisions separate from our emotions, separate from how we feel, objectively, not cutting our losses too soon, or not being, somebody that gets tripped up on this. I'm really so amazed by this scenario. Either I've seen the opposite. Either someone will spend too much on advertising on the front end and then cut it all off, and then it doesn't work. They'll go with 1/3 of the budget and think that that's going to pan out the same because of that. Or they'll keep their budget super small, thinking that if they spend more, it's not going to go up. I've seen those 3 things in Facebook ads specifically, and any advertising. And if you're making your decisions on advertising and your business based on how you feel, not letting something ride out, that's subjective, not objective. If you're making decisions about your business on how you feel, that is subjective, not objective. So in this, learn to separate your emotions from the decision-making process in your business, and you will see massive growth in every single area where you start to do this. Have a good one, everybody, and we will talk soon.